So hello to all the YouTubers. Thank you for joining us. I will be going live on Facebook just shortly here. You'll be getting this as a recorded video. And I will be back tomorrow night to conclude the series. And Sunday, I will be doing a little Zoom meeting. I want to get together with people who are interested in what we're doing here with the Mid-Georgia Agora, with the Freedom Cell. So I'm going to go ahead and open up early here, and probably a few seconds early, and get going. Thank you for joining. Make sure you like our channel, and make sure you subscribe so that we'll be sending out more information as we go along. It's time to go live. Welcome back to Middle Georgia Agora Freedom Cell information. This is the live event we've been planning for this week to explain what we're doing with the Freedom Cells, the purpose of it. Last night I talked about why I personally, let me adjust this a little bit, there. That's a little better view for me so I can see what I look like on camera. Ideally, what we're looking at from a Freedom Cell point of view, why I wanted to start the Freedom Cells, why I think it's necessary. That's last night's video. You can look it up. But tonight I want to talk about specifically what we're looking for as far as the structure of the Middle Georgia Agora, the Freedom Cell. We're looking for, and if you looked on the Freedom Cell network, Freedom Cells, CELLS.org. If you looked on that network, you see that in their video that ideally they're looking for eight family groups of 8, but I'm looking for 6 to 9 households. That's somewhere between 6 to 9 households. And when I'm talking about a household, I mean you could have anything from a family of 5 to a couple. So 6 to 9 households would be a good sized group, be a good sized workable group. And again, ideally, ultimately, the ultimate goal is that they would be 6 to 9 of my immediate neighbors. And there's so many benefits from that, not only logistically, but also kind of to hold us a little bit accountable. It's hard to shy away from someone that you have to face every day. If it's hard to cheat someone, I guess we should say that you have to face every day. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But we're shooting for within 5 miles. That's a workable distance. If worst case scenario, transportation issues come up, 5 miles is not a burdensome distance that someone would have to travel by foot or by other means. But right now, realistically, I'm looking for something within 20 to 30 miles. We've got transportation, things that we can do. The communication is here as far as the electronics communication. And so that's workable right now to begin. So if you looked at the website, you know kind of what an idea of what we're looking at as far as an Agora. As far as a Freedom Cell. But I want to talk a bit about rules, and I hate to use the word rules because anarchism doesn't mean no rules; it means no rulers. But I basically boil down to 3 rules, and they're kind of 3 in 1. They're kind of the same rule in all 3, just different ways of phrasing it, I guess. But the first rule is, as you would have done to you, so do. The golden rule. Simple as that. Number 2, all transactions and interactions shall be voluntary in nature, without initiation of violence against any individual or their possessions. Basically, the non-aggression policy. And then the third is caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Individuals are responsible for their own decisions they make, what interactions they go into voluntarily. They are responsible for that. And those are basically the only three things you need to live by. You need a whole bunch of rules to make you understand how to be a decent human. If that's what we need, if we need a continuation of those rules, I'm like, come on, giant meteor, we're done. I mean, there's if we can't evolve beyond that, then we probably deserve to be extinct as a species. So I truly believe that we can move beyond that, and this is the way to do so is through the agorism, the voluntarism, anarchism based in this. Now, the structure, or let's go to functions first. Functions that could operate through the Freedom Cell seedling bank. So currently, I've got a little bit of that going on currently, and I'm working on with my aquaponics system now, of putting cuttings in place and making seedlings, or making cuttings into trees, and being able to provide that not only as a means of income but also as a means of sharing among those within the Freedom Cells. And again, that brings us to the point of the I don't want to get there yet. Seedlings, sharing of responsibilities. I mean, for me here now, I mean, I think about I've got an aquaponics system running. I've got pigs. I've got chickens. I've got different things. I've got plants that need to be tended to different times. And so there's a lot of responsibilities. If something happened and I were to have to be called away for any period of time, who could look after this? My dad's incapable of doing it, and so this is one of those things that is a reality, and so and not everyone has extended family nearby that they can count on to do such things. But if and when you're formed into this group, into this Freedom Cell, into this organization of those who are operating in this same realm, it's not like asking a stranger to come in and try to figure something out, right? We're all familiar. We'd all be familiar with each other's operations. It's also help us so find alternative markets. We would be able to develop alternative markets, and the markets again would be localized, which goes in with the community exchange system, because the community exchange system, and again, look on the website, community-exchange.org, community-exchange.org, and that'll explain the community exchange system. It's basically a means of separating away from the use of fiat currency to an electronic accounting system that would allow, for a multitude of exchanges, allow for ultimately a free market, free of the debt-based system that we're under, which again penalizes those who aren't operating on the right side of that system. But we already have a seed exchange going on with another group through the CES, the Community Exchange System, and so that's what we're going to be using for our basic means of exchange. I mean, and again, that's not a hard and fast rule. We'll be open to, barter and all those things kind of fall under a community exchange system. But the main thing is to keep all of the resources and all of the proceeds from our locally based resources, to keep them local, so that they're not going to fund via taxes to fund unnecessary wars, to fund police actions against kids who are smoking a little weed, which basically, that's, our taxes, that's the blood money that's going to. So this is a way of pulling off of that grid as well. I would like for the Freedom Cell for Middle Georgia Agora, ultimately to meet, maybe twice a month or monthly at best. And again, something to share ideas, share labor sometimes. I mean, I know here there are going to be times. I mean, I've got a lot of squash based plants here, because for me that's a really good source of food for my livestock. It's a good source of food for us. Squash based plants, like especially the winter squash, like acorn squash and butternut squash, and even spaghetti squash, and those keep really well, really high calorie products. I can let them lie in the field and reseed. They are just really good for the soil. So I have a lot of those around. But when the harvest time comes, there's a lot of harvesting that needs to be done, and it's something that again we can do together. And as I talked about last night, it's a lot of us, we're kind of working on our own anyway. We're kind of on islands, and a lot of that is just of our own doing, because most of us just would. Let's face it, if you're watching this video, if you're doing permaculture, if you're looking at something like this, at a freedom cell, if you ever looked at the autonomy, you just realize you're kind of a bit a lone wolf. But see, that's the problem, is wolves are not lone. They do operate in packs. But let me see here, the CES would allow us to invite artisans and craftsmen into our Freedom Cell as well. Whereas now, think about it. We're paying a guy to work on our vehicle, cash, off the books, bang, bang, under the table, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Prosecute me, sons of bitches. But anyway, we're doing this, and it's saving us a lot of money, and we're developing those relationships. Well, why should I have to do that? Why should government of any type be involved in that interaction whatsoever? And again, I'm going off into my agorism rant. If you've watched the video with my grandkids, I'm going off on a windy here. But why should there be any involvement other than us? But I'm forced to, even in that involvement, to use a fiat currency that is being artificially inflated even as we speak. It's losing value even as I hand them off to the guy. So why should I be forced to use that? And that's what the CES allows us to do. But it also allows us to for artists and musicians to actually earn a living outside of that as well, because of the exchange system that can be used. And again, it's all explained on the site. I don't want to go into too much detail on this video. I want to keep it kind of brief for you this evening. But it provides for a unique opportunity for the homeless. Again, look on the site. It'll explain it. But the homeless who can actually participate in the system, because right now they can't get jobs because of all the hoops that they have to go through. I mean, IDs and all that. Whereas, if I can bring a guy, I don't care what kind of ID he has. If he comes and if he wants to help me in my garden and earn community exchange value that he can then trade at someone else's operation to get some shoes or some clothes or a meal. That's bypassing all of the government the government handouts, the government programs that end up benefiting government more than the recipient. And I'll go off on a little rabbit trail here, because the efficiency, I believe the last time I looked was something about the worst offenders of among charitable organizations, where the government rates the charitable organizations as being poor stewards of the money, so to speak. I think there's something like they have like 90% administrative costs. It's like 10% goes to the recipient. Well, with the federal government, of your tax dollars that actually go into programs that benefit the individuals, it's about 2%. They're not even a good charity. So we can bypass that through the community exchange system, and that's what happens with community exchange systems is it bypasses all of these social programs and knocks them out. It makes government obsolete, and again, that's the whole purpose of ultimately of the freedom cells is to become autonomous, to become self-governing, not. You've seen my videos. If not, if this is your first time, if live, check us out. Buckwheat Farms, this sign right here, Buckwheat Farms Magic Emporium and Ballroom on YouTube. I've got all kind of videos on one of the most watched videos is the case for anarchy, the case for anarchism, and check it out. But so that is ultimately our goal, is to be free, to not be governed, to be free of governance. But this community exchange system also allows for other alternative markets, cryptos and barter to be used in it as well. So we're setting up here Buckwheat Farms as a to operate as a CSA, a community supported agriculture operation, which means that we're looking for households in our immediate neighborhood to let us be their farm, and they'll invest in it. And again, look up community supported agriculture if that's something you're interested in. It's just something in the means of, and that's again what all of this is about helping us to become aware of other means of generating income that's not income, if you know what I mean, to establish those markets and to be able to prosper in the coming times. So also what we want to do mainly though, I don't really want to be the neighborhood's farmer at all times. Our main thing with Buckwheat Farms, Magic Emporium, and Ballroom is to mentor our neighbors and show them how that they can create the food forest in their own yards. And see, the tribe is forming. It's coming together, but there's one more aspect beyond all this, and if you're here, you're watching the video, if you're seeing it after the fact, if you're watching it on YouTube, whatever, there's a reason that you're here, and that aspect is one where quantum physics, rather than explaining away the idea of the alchemists, the idea of things like the Kabbalion, the ideas of Pythagoras, these understandings of the mystical ideas of the working of the mind, that rather than explaining those things away, that the recent discoveries in quantum physics are actually confirming those things. Again, look it up, the double slit experiment. Look up, gosh, I don't even want to take you there. Look up look at my videos on the Buckwheat Farms Magic Emporium and Ballroom. Everything we do is magic. I explain a lot more there as well. But that's one of the things that we're seeing. It's one of the things I saw at the Greater Reset. It's one of the things that I'm seeing is there's a unifying spirituality that's going on here. Because we're understanding who and what we actually are, and our ability to use our thoughts, our intents to manipulate, to change, to create the very environment that we want. And that is ultimately where we're going with this. And so tomorrow at 9, I'll finish up with that section of it. I'll finish up with that thing. I'll be back to talk about the coming paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift that's going to come in human thought, and why the freedom cells are vital to our survival as a species. Namaste.